One of the more interesting things about Seneca is he quotes Epicurus over and over and over again. And that's interesting because Epicureanism and Stoicism are supposedly opposite schools. He knows that there's something weird about it because he keeps referencing how weird it is that he would quote Epicurus. But then he says, you should never be afraid to quote a bad author if the line is good, which I think is a great insight. And then later he says you should read from the opposing schools or the opposing religions or from people who think very differently than you as if you're a spy in the enemy's camp. So instead of having this sort of closed-minded view of like, I know how things should be, and so I'm only going to look around for confirmation of those ideas, he's saying you should look for and borrow from every single person you could possibly learn from. And I think that's great. So like everyone who's following this account who likes Stoicism, it's like important that you're not limiting yourself just to that. Read the Bible, read the Quran, read Hebrew thinkers, read from Buddhism, from Confucianism, read from history, read from pop psychology, read from mystical stuff. Like it doesn't matter where it's coming from or even who it's coming from if it's true. Like even a hypocrite might be right. Their behavior might be violating what they're saying. And you obviously don't want to emulate that. But the truth is what's important. And I mean, Seneca is a great example of this. Like he is a brilliant writer and thinker, but largely fails to live up to his own teachings. And so I think you still would want to follow and study him. And so don't be afraid to take from and borrow from just about anything. And don't think that Stoicism is this dogma and that anything that deviates or disagrees from it, you're not allowed to take seriously. One of the things I would encourage people to do is read multiple translations of the different Stoics. Like, so if you read the abridged version of Letters of a Stoic from Penguin Classics, let's say, go get the Loeb edition where you can see all the letters. Or if you've read the Loeb letters, go read the Penguin Classics one, or read a free online version. Maybe when you read it the first time, a word that the translator chose didn't really land with you, but when you see it from a different angle, you're going to get it, or it's going to land with you in a way that it wouldn't have otherwise. Don't be afraid to read the people who are talking about or adding on top of Stoicism. Donald Robertson is amazing. John Sellers is really interesting. Nassim Taleb has said really interesting things about Stoicism. Obviously, what we're trying to do on the Daily Stoic is add to what's out there on Stoicism. Just read anything and everything you can. If you can get something out of it, it's worth reading. And don't be afraid to pursue the lesser known Stoics, but I would say only do that after you've really got a mastery of the sort of core fundamental, like what we call the big three. Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe below for more content from us at Daily Stoic.